This is Twit.
Facebook is killing the messaging feature of its mobile app. Instead, they want you to use the dedicated Messenger app. It's all part of Facebook's multi-app strategy, which our guest, Lance Ulanoff, thinks is a dumb idea. Welcome, Lance.
Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, before we get into your opinion about what Facebook is doing, why don't you tell us what it is that they're doing exactly, not just with this particular app, but with apps in general?
Well, obviously, first of all, Facebook is now a mobile-first company. They're really focusing heavily on creating apps like Paper and Home and Messenger, obviously, which I've had for a while.
Poke, don't forget Poke.
And, oh, yeah, Poke. I actually have forgotten Poke.
Yes, we all have.
But, you know, they want a collection of apps that people can use for a variety of experiences across the Facebook platform. Although certainly we've been talking and messaging each other within Facebook for a long time, but now it's like they've bulked up a little bit and they're forcibly moving us and moving our chats out of Facebook proper and into this app.
Yeah. This is a little confusing because you can still see your mail, right? It just doesn't function as a chat inside the native app. Am I right?
Well, yeah. And what I always liked is that it was kind of a seamless experience. You know, it's funny because you'd almost think that it's a bad idea to have them overlap the way they do in Facebook, both mail and chat, but it made it all seem much more real time. There was less confusion, fewer places for me to look for where I needed to have a discussion. And, you know, it certainly would bring me back to Facebook because I actually was using it for chat with various people. It wasn't the primary use by any stretch, but I thought it was one of their better features.
What's fascinating about this to me is that while they're doing this, it's essentially the opposite strategy that Google is taking with Google+. Google+ is integrating Latitude, which was their location check-in app. They've integrating, to a certain extent, YouTube and Gmail. They've integrated all kinds of stuff, including their restaurant finding stuff under local. So while Google's forcibly cramming these disparate services that used to be separate into one social app, Facebook is forcibly ripping out their various features into separate apps. Why are these two companies taking a totally different tack, do you think?
Well, I think for Google Plus is seen as sort of Google Search 2.0. So it is a true hub for everything you do, not just social networking, but the wealth of services that Google and technologies that Google tries to provide. And I think it makes sense to to bring them together. I'm not really sure of why Facebook feels the need to sort of pull these things apart. And I was so, you know, it's funny how some things strike you so strongly as a terrible idea. And as soon as I heard this, I was upset and I started knocking out the 11 reasons. And, you know, to be quite honest, Facebook's announcement was so bereft of actual information. It was, you know, they just said, this is what we're doing, get used to it. And we were trying to get more information. So I wrote this post angrily, probably harshly. And guess what? Facebook responded. You know, then they woke up.
What did they say?
You know, well, I did something interesting because I thought all of their responses were so interesting that I integrated them with my post. So you can read what I said and then their responses. And each time they answered, they in no way undercut my argument, but they simply stated, this is what we're doing. And they wouldn't really answer the core point. They'd answer a side point. And, you know, I just found it really an interesting way to approach the problem that, you know, they would just try and find this one, you know, we tested it in Europe. You know, people love it, you know, like that and David Hasselhoff, you know, it's like, I was just like, well, all right. I did get some interesting information out of them, though, that they had not really made clear before. They are not actually doing this on the iPad. So it's really just for the iPhone and Android. And the other interesting thing is they actually kind of knocked iOS a little bit here because I talked about the chat heads, which I've really grown to like. You know what they are? Right, you have a discussion, the little bubble appears, and you can move around on the page. You can drop them down to get rid of them. And so they are able to, oddly enough, keep those in Android because they can be anywhere across the platform, but they can't do so in iOS. They actually have to, pulling it out means that you don't get chat heads in Facebook mobile anymore. You only get it in Messenger, which I thought was really interesting.
Now, I had mentioned that Google Plus is going in the opposite direction, cramming everything into a single app. 8-Bit Steve in the chat room pointed out that, in fact, Google has all kinds of disparate apps. They have a Gmail app. They have a Hangouts app. But what they're not doing is forcing that functionality out of the core app. So they give them both to you. So I guess that's really the difference between the Facebook and the Google Plus strategies. But it's a good point to be made. Now, you complained about the Messenger app itself as an app, and you said that you don't like it at all. And I'm curious what your beef is with that app. It seems to work fine for me.
I mean, I think it works fine. It's just I don't see it as compelling enough to be a separate environment. It's not like I can do all that much with it that's special. I think people go to a standalone chat app because they get something a level above pure discussion. Like, for example, if you're in Snapchat, you're really marking things up. If you're in the new Vine chat, you're creating 6-second videos that sort of make it a more engaging thing. Now, they said they are working on some new features. I believe Selfie Compose was one of them, which could make it a more interesting environment. But to me, it just doesn't seem strong enough for a standalone app when the real action is happening within Facebook. But to be fair to them, there are a lot of people who have downloaded it and liked it. But you'll notice that as soon as you do download Messenger, even now, Messenger within Facebook no longer functions. You basically have two distinct environments. So I think that's a particular kind of user that's going for that.
And it's interesting to think about what this actually does to the Facebook experience, because if you're going to deconstruct personal communication from the Facebook experience, then it's just a magazine. It's like a Flipboard now, right? Or it just feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can have your comments and those kind of are an engagement, but they're asynchronous. But having this, when I'm in Facebook, whether I'm on the desktop, but especially more so now on mobile, I'll be looking at who's online. I'll be, oh, my wife is there, or a friend. I'm like, I'll see a little green dot, and if I want to, I can contact them, and sometimes they can actually contact me. So if you don't have Messenger in there, what's the point? Are you expecting, people are going to do the same thing. They're going to try and have conversations within the regular comment platform, which I think is going to be messy. And it's bad enough watching people use Facebook in that way, where they say ultra odd and personal things in comments when they really mean to send them just to a single person.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion there, but at least you have to give them credit. They don't allow strangers to contact you and ring your phone in the middle of the night like Google Hangouts does, and so that's one benefit.
Sorry, I didn't mean it. I thought you wanted to talk.
I always want to talk to you, Lance. I'm talking about those other people at Mashable. They know who they are. Well, Lance, I want to thank you for coming on Tech News Today.
It was my pleasure.
All right, thanks again. You can find Lance at Lance Ulanoff on Twitter and also at lanceulanoff.com and, of course, Mashable.com.